think a lot of when you're talking about transactional editing, I think that they just don't put themselves in that space or understanding like what the reader is going through. It's tough out there to be an author.
Is. And I think the other thing that you always did for me too, especially with this book, was you challenged me to say, how could you say this actually in a way that is simpler for some of the stories where it's maybe people don't know this story, or maybe people have never heard of the El Camino? Like, how would you explain it to them in a way that they would understand? It doesn't take a bunch of time to do. And so that was just always nice to have someone else like you looking at it and saying, what if someone never heard the story of the prodigal son, and what's the impact there? But I think the more you and I worked on each of these chapters too, I just kept finding new things. And it's like the words, they're not static somehow. I don't even know how to describe it. Even now I'm reading the book as a reader and not an author. The first time I did that after the book came out,
As you're like, oh my God, did I write that?
I know. I'm like, wow, that's so crazy. And then something new will still come through. And I'm like, oh, okay, as I'm doing the journal prompts. And I think the journal prompts and the embodiment exercises were something you and I really talked about as well. And my own personal journal entries, which I was so scared to include. I'm like, people are going to be like, be in my head.
Oh, I love those. I love them. That's like the icing on the cake. Also, by the time you get to the end of the chapter, and I know I've said this before to you dozens of times, that the way you bring people into the more complicated ideas, it's like you really usher them in. So once you start, you're like, oh, you're hearing the story, and then Annette explains her experience and how it relates to her and what's happened to her or what she's seen. And then you go even a step deeper into really breaking down how the scripture ties into our everyday lives and how we think and being a human